What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Lab. Today we're going to be taking a look at what is one of the top decks in the current Stellar Crown format, and that is Raging Bolt EX with the Teal Mask Ogerpon. This deck has been consistently the highest meta share of any deck in the Stellar Crown format for our major events, and it continues to be very strong. And so we want to take a look at sort of two versions of this deck, and then talk about some card inclusions in this deck that you might want to look into as you consider playing it. So Raging Bolt EX is a very strong deck and very fast and consistent. It's sort of one of those turbo style basic 2-prize attacking decks that can hit for essentially unlimited damage with that Bellowing Thunder attack. And there's two versions of the deck that I think are worth looking at. One is sort of dubbed the Barefoot Raging Bolt EX, which is playing it without trekking shoes, and then the other version is playing it with those trekking shoes. So this is Caleb Gedimer's winning list from Louisville Regionals. Caleb Gedimer took down the Louisville Regionals with Raging Bolt EX using this exact list, and one of the most interesting things about it is most Raging Bolt decks are playing a couple of trekking shoes. But Caleb and his crew decided to forego those trekking shoes to add things in here like the Luminion V and the Iron Bundle. And those are some really interesting inclusions for a couple of reasons. Iron Bundle, obviously just good for gusting around things that you don't really want to attack into. Let's say your opponent puts up a 1-prize Pokemon and they have a 2-prizer on the bench, or only 2-prizers on the bench. You can use the Iron Bundle to target down those 2-prizers. And then for Louisville, there was a lot of chatter about Regidragos playing Noivern EX in their Regidrago deck, so Iron Bundle was a way to gust around the Regidragos if they were able to use that Noivern. And then the Luminion is really interesting because obviously you're using Pokegears a lot of the time to hopefully hit your Professor Sadas, but Luminion with a couple of Ultra Balls in the deck is another way to guarantee that Sada. So just added consistency from the Luminion V, and you already have these sort of weak basic 2-prizers in play with the Ogerpons, the Squawkabilly, Pheasantipede, those sorts of things. So you don't really worry too much about having another 2-prizer on your bench. A couple of interesting things from the list. A lot of Raging Bolt EXs are playing those 6 Grass Energies, and Caleb and his crew decided to cut down to 5 Grass Energies so that they could play 4 Energy Retrievals. And that, I think, is a really good inclusion. A lot of decks were only playing 3 Energy Retrieval, and I really do like the full 4 Energy Retrieval in here. Another thing to note, they're playing 3 Bravery Charm and 3 Pokestop. 3 Bravery Charm, I think a lot of decks are pushing towards 3 or 4 Bravery Charm for Raging Bolt EX list, and I think 3 is sort of the sweet spot. 4, I just don't think you need the full 4, but you do want more than 2, so I think 3 is a good spot to settle at. And then Pokestop, 3 Pokestop. Some decks are playing only 2 Pokestop, but I do think the full 3 count of Pokestop is really good in here. Another thing to note from Caleb's list is the 3 Switch Cart. That's a pretty heavy switching count along with the Prime Catcher. I don't know if that was because they were worried about a little bit more Snorlax or control in the format. However, I'm just not sure that even that is enough to overcome the Snorlax matchup, which can be pretty tough for this deck. I think one of the best things you can do if you're not going to be donking Snorlax is just to start stomping off with that Slitherwing and try to mill them potentially. That is one strategy that you can take against Snorlax as Raging Bolt. But overall, a very cool deck list and certainly something to consider as you're looking at Raging Bolt EX. Now, another version of the Raging Bolt deck is found here. This was Xander Perro's list from Louisville, and you'll notice a couple differences. Obviously no Slitherwing in here, so no 1-prize attackers, and then no Luminion as well. Full 4 count of trekking shoes. So this is not the shoeless Barefoot Raging Bolt EX. Just added consistency with those trekking shoes. And then full 4 count of Bravery Charms and only 2 Pokestops. So some of the main differences also in here, they had Briar and Iono, where Caleb's list only had Sada and Boss. They do have the Briar and Iono in this version of the deck. The 4 trekking shoes, like we said, 1 Ultra Ball instead of 2 Ultra Ball that Caleb had in his list, 1 Switch Cart over the 3 Switch Cart that Caleb had in his list, and then a full 4 Bravery Charm and only 2 Pokestops. So I do like the trekking shoes. I am a fan of the trekking shoes, I think, over the Luminion V that Caleb had in his deck. However, I did like the 4 Energy Retrieval that Caleb played over the 6th Grass Energy, and I'm not sure that you need the full 4 Bravery Charm, so I would probably play 3 of those and 3 Pokestop. I also am just not certain that Briar comes up enough for it to be worth playing. We've seen a lot of Raging Bolt decks sort of cut that Briar, and I might want a second switch card just for consistency in that first turn going second, to switch out of the active so that you can get that turn 1 attack with Raging Bolt EX. So those are just a few of the changes. I think I'd probably like to sort of play a mix of Caleb's deck and Xander's deck. Maybe not play the full 4 Trekking Shoes, not the full 4 Bravery Charms, and then play 3 Pokestop, a 3 Bravery Charm over 4 Bravery Charm, a second switch card, and I probably still would want to include that Slitherwing. That Slitherwing does seem like a good inclusion right now. So this is just a couple ways to play Raging Bolt EX with that Ogerpon. A few other things to note: you could play a Spiritomb in here if you want to improve your matchups against decks that play like Rotom and Lumineon. So Lugia, for example, should be an okay matchup, but they can swing it with that Legacy energy, like on a Cinccino. So you could play an Enhanced Hammer to make that matchup better, or you could play a Spiritomb to slow them down so that their Lumineons don't work. Spiritomb also helps your Snorlax matchup quite a bit. It also should help your Charizard and maybe Dragapult matchups as well, even though some of those matchups are already pretty good, but Spiritomb can help in several matchups. The Slitherwing, again, is a good inclusion that Xander didn't choose to play, but I think is pretty good as well. And then yeah, it's a decision of whether or not you want to play the Briar. I do think it's pretty cool, but overall I'm not sure that it comes up enough. And then, yeah, do you want to play the Trekking Shoes or do you not want to play the Trekking Shoes? Do you want to play Lumineon V for the added consistency of finding your turn 1 Sadas, or just finding Sada whenever you need it, if you have an Ultra Ball in hand? Those are all really good questions. So these are sort of two different versions of the Raging Bolt EX deck that you could take a look at and maybe make a combination of the two to suit your taste. So hopefully this video was helpful for you to take a look at Raging Bolt EX and decide how you want to play it to your local League Cups, League Challenges, or to a future major event. So if this video helped you out, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.